Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to attend my presentation about Moira, the power of simplicity. Now to begin, I would like to start off with a little history lesson on Moira's Overwatch career. From the point of her release all the way up to very recently, Moira has had quite a shaky reputation in the Overwatch community, as her kit didn't really stack up very well against the honestly rather overtuned kits of the rest of the cast of playable support characters. This caused Moira to be quite a niche character in higher levels of play, where she would only really see the light of day in some forms of rush, brawl and zombie comp, but even there she was rivaled or straight up outperformed by heroes like Baptiste. But after the Overwatch 2 Season 9 balance patch, where the game basically got thrust into a new landscape I dub Overwatch 3, something peculiar happened. A massive meta shakeup occurred, and after the dust settled, players realized that the former menaces such as Ana and ERE somewhat had fallen to the wayside in favor of more consistent characters such as Lucio, Zenyatta and, surprisingly, Moira. Looking a bit further at Moira, I first want to mention that Moira is what I call a stat character. This encompasses that Moira's value doesn't come from some crazy utility ability like Anti-Nade or Discord Orb, but from her raw numbers and ability to output an insane amount of stats. Historically, this has caused her to thrive in brawl comps, as her ridiculous numbers made her a great asset to the close combat fights that occurred in these scenarios, but outside of that, she was deemed suboptimal at stat. In addition to her statline based game plan, Moira's gameplay cycle is very simple and doesn't require you to put in nearly as much effort as other characters. Now, while I said that Moira wasn't very good in high elos, that same thing can't be said for lower ranks, where the lacking mechanical skills such as aim and awareness allow Moira players to get away with pretty much everything. This leads to Moira being the root of a lot of lower ranked players' frustrations with the game. As I mentioned before, Moira's kit is quite simple. She's one of those characters where you can hand the controller to little Timmy from down the street and he will still do relatively well. While this isn't inherently an issue, it does become a problem when you take Blizzard's balancing philosophy into account. Blizzard really wants every hero to be strong or at least playable in every situation, but when you have these characters that are very easy to play, it creates a scenario where a character that barely has to break a sweat can suddenly perform just as well, or not better, as characters that are supposed to reward players who put in lots of hours to get better at the game. And that's an issue. Now, even though I talked about the problems Moira creates, I don't actually think there's a clear route to take to fix the issues she and other characters like her create. But if I had to make a suggestion, I'd say that in dire situations some sacrifices will have to be made, and that Moira is not on the top of the list of characters that need to be preserved. And her suffering will ultimately be for the greater good of Overwatch in general. I'm also quickly going to mention how I have a perfectly unbiased opinion about Moira and her kit design, and that everything I said here should be taken for 100% truth. In conclusion, whilst Moira creates a weird problem for the game, her story and character design are great. She adds a unique flair to the game, with both her gameplay and visual effects. However, she is a character that by design should not be able to keep up with other characters when played at a high enough level. And keep in mind, I didn't even mention Fade. Now, if you enjoyed, please like the video and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Also, be sure to check out Electric Wind Girlfriend, as they make great content if you're interested in Pokemon and its competitive scene, and I took a lot of inspiration from that content. Thank you very much for watching.